Hi there, my name's Anna. Happy New Year and welcome back to my art channel. So in today's video, I'm testing out one of my Christmas presents. I got a large set of White Nights watercolor paints and I've been dying to get one of these. I already have a smaller set from my teenage years. They were the first watercolor paints I ever used, but I just really wanted to have the big full set and I am so happy to have them. I've already swatched them out and did one painting previously and I'm very happy with them as I expected. In any case, today I decided to paint something colourful. I decided to paint an exotic bird. I think these are called toucans. I'm not quite sure. I didn't think of looking it up beforehand. Here you can see me getting some paint ready to paint in the background. I'm getting different shades of green, blue and brown, and I want to let it all blend into each other in a wet and wet technique. I'm painting in the background just with water so the paint will flow nicely, and here you can just see me popping the paint onto the painting and just moving it around a little bit, and because the paper is wet, the paint will just kind of do its own thing and flow into each other, and I really love these effects. In the end, I decided to add another layer to the background because it ended up a little bit too light for my liking, but it is nice also the way it is now. I'm starting to paint in the bird using a nice vibrant yellow. And I'm adding in some green around the eye. And it's not a uniform layer of yellow. I have it more intense on some areas and a little bit lighter on others. And I'm just, while it's still wet, dabbing in some darker paint at the bottom. Just a kind of grey mix and some more green around the eyes. I'm painting in the feet using a very bluish grey mixture. Basically, it's just a toned down blue. And now I'm painting in his body, which is mostly black, but it has some hints of color and texture as well. Oh, and I didn't use actual black. I think this was a Payne's grey, and I also added some blue and some red and some brown just for some color variation. And he has a little bit of red around his neck, and you can see a hint of his red tail as well. As paintbrush, I'm using my silver black velvet brush. I think the smallest size I have or the medium size. Because these paintbrushes hold a very fine tip, it does nearly not really matter which size you use because you can add a lot of detail even with a larger brush. And in between, I just keep adding some detail to different areas of the bird, just little feathers, some more green around the eye, some detail on the neck. And this bird has a green eye, which I'm painting in now. And there, going back in with more detail. And I just kind of keep refining the areas I've already painted. Sometimes I'll wet an area and add some more paint on top using the wet and wet technique over the already dried area. And now I'm painting in the colourful beak, letting yellow and green flow into each other here. Adding in the pupil to the eye now. Adding some more blue areas to the beak. When you don't want the paint to flow into each other, it's important to let the areas that are next to the area you want to paint dry first, so you have defined edges. I'm adding the red portion of the beak. And you can see I've preserved a little bit of white at the top of the beak just to symbolize a highlight. Now I've blocked in the entire bird, but I do go back in and add more detail, more definition. I'm going to add some darker red over the red I've already painted. And I'm darkening the body of the bird a little bit, lifting some paint where I want to see an indication of some feathers showing. Adding some white highlights here and there in the eye. And here you can see I'm painting the background again. This time I'm not actually wetting the background first, but I'm just adding the paint fairly quickly, the different shades of green, yellow and blue, so that they still flow into each other, wet into wet, even though the surface isn't wet. I just have to be fast, and then this works out as well. And I'm much happier with the background in this color. It's just a little bit darker and I like it more that way. Now I'm adding some marks to the beak, and I'm just using some dark paint, but it is thinned down a little bit with water so that it doesn't cover entirely, so it's a bit translucent because those are very light marks. Adding some more detail to the little feet here. Some more shadow and the creases on the toes. And I'm starting to paint the branch using different shades of green and brown. And also painting in a little bit of the vegetation growing on the branch. This is a very textured and mossy branch, and I really enjoyed painting it. I think it's one of the nicest parts of the painting. There are some grasses or, the type of plant that will grow on other plants growing on this branch. And I kind of have to cut out those areas while I'm painting in the darker brown of the branch so that I can still add the vibrant green on top and let it show. So it's a little bit of negative painting here. Whereas the moss on this branch, I'm mostly just letting the green of that just blend into the branch itself. It's just these little grassy areas where I want to preserve the white of the paper until I paint the green in. Adding in some more darker areas on the branch to add some more contrast. And it's kind of a mixture of wet on wet and wet on dry. No real rhyme or reason to it. I just kind of followed my gut here and just kind of threw paint onto the branch, and it kind of turned out nice. Painting in the little leaves now, using a fairly vibrant green. This set actually doesn't have a sap green in it. It has this lovely, I think it was called Russian green at one stage, and now it's just called green in the set, and that's a really lovely vibrant colour. But it's a bit tricky to actually use it because it's not entirely light fast. And it's such a beautiful colour. And there's a purple in the set, which is also really beautiful. They're the nicest colours in here, and they're not light fast, unfortunately. All the other paints are, of course. So you just have to kind of decide when you want to use these paints. And you have to know that they might not last if you use them. The green here that I am using is a different one. Basically the green that I will never otherwise use because it's way too vibrant, but you can use it actually and just tone it down a little bit, and it's very usable then. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this painting. I'm nearly finished at this point. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of it, and maybe let me know if you painted along. And I hope to see you again soon in one of my next videos. So take care and bye bye.
I saw you, but now I won't come back around if you're not trying.